Alright, I'm trying to erase some old audio files that don't matter anymore concerning incidences that have happened towards me along my routes. Now, I'm currently periodically hiking in California, and I'm not going to say when this particular incident happened at for legal purposes, and that can be explained later if I need to. But I want you to just listen to what hang on one second. Shit. Anyways, see, I forgot what I was. There was a part I just got done listening to it, and that's why I decided to transfer it over to this video file. There was a part in it right after I got done saying something. I heard gang stalking being said in the background, probably by the woman I'm talking about. She's this little skanked out freak they've used on over 15 occasions. So she hasn't been around lately. They'll probably bring her around today, though. And the reason why I say that, I'll just put it to you this way. If you go to YouTube channel by the name of Organized Stalking 3 and look at their remote neural monitoring video, they just put it up online. And then if you extensively review remote neural monitoring at YouTube and Google, you'll clearly be able to see that targets' brains are literally monitored neurally from a remote distance. And as a result, they're literally able to scrutinize what a target is processing. So if a target thinks to himself, I haven't seen this person around lately that's bothered me, what they'll do is deliberately put that person along a target's path the very day that the target's thinking about them, just to form an association in the target's mind that I was just thinking about that this morning. I was just thinking about how she hasn't been around, and then all of a sudden she's around. This is literally the tactics that they do, literally. And if you don't believe me, I strongly suggest that you go to YouTube or Google and type in Gloria Naylor and gang stalking. Now, she gave a radio talk show, an internet talk show interview, and she literally flat out states it, and everybody else is flat out stating it. That's a target of remote neural monitoring. You can find that just by going to YouTube and typing in remote neural monitoring and listening to the NYC Chronicle videos that she's being harassed concerning her own evoked potentials, which are your thought processes. But Gloria Naylor talks about how she was laying down and thinking to herself a certain thing over and over again. And then she said, I think she said she either went to sleep and then got up a couple hours later and then went outside, and somebody literally got in her face and repeated what she was thinking about right before she went to bed. And something along those lines. And she's an author, okay? You know, a well-known author nationwide. And, you know, here's the thing. Organized stalking and gang stalking is going on in multiple countries. And so anyways, in order for you to understand what I'm talking about, you have, see, my videos are for mature audiences. And I'm not saying that, you know, I'm not saying that teenagers aren't mature or kids aren't, you know, can be mature for their age. But what I'm trying to say is that when you hear something for the first time and you think to yourself, what? As a result of what you're hearing, you might dismiss it. But, you know, understand this and be clear. I always say that. It's a phrase I've gotten into saying. You know how like sometimes people say flat out. I've even gotten to the point where I'm saying that now. I don't know why I say understand and be clear. I have no idea why I say that. But anyways, understand this though. When a person who is a seasoned target of this crime now, openly, for 10 full years, every single day, they know what they're talking about based on research and experience, okay? And so, you know, if you want to be able to literally witness one of the most unspeakable crimes that is literally happening right now, that have never been subject to targets of crime in the whole entire human history, then I strongly suggest you go to YouTube and type in remote neural monitoring, and then in a separate search type in electronic harassment, and then in a separate search type in organized stalking or gang stalking. And you can Google these separate three descriptions at Google as well. And you can also understand, as a result of researching these three topics, that you will see that remote neural monitoring, electronic harassment, and organized gang stalking work hand in hand. In other words, the electronic harassment and the remote neural monitoring is always coupled with organized gang stalking. I just want you to listen to this particular audio file. It's not like a big thing that's got like, you know, big results on it, and you're gonna hear me swearing just a teeny bit, and that's only because this skank has bothered me on multiple occasions. In fact, I'm gonna share something with you. One of the last times that she came across my path, see what they do is they learn targets, regular routes, and also as a result of, I'm just gonna say it this way because I know that the police like to use anything you say against you. I'm going to word this carefully. As a result of targets being victims of remote neural monitoring, if a target thinks to themselves they're going to go to a certain place, before they go, what the organized gang stalking expedition does is they monitor the remote neural monitoring. They scrutinize the information about where a target's thinking about going, and then they place the individuals that are going to harass a target for that day along that route where a target is processing about going. And you know, this same skank was set up along my path on one of my regular routes, and sometimes, and what they'll do is they'll even put, this is no lying, if you research gang stalking or organized stalking thoroughly enough, you'll see that exactly what I'm telling you is the truth. These individuals, especially when it gets down to a point to where liability is just around the corner in reference to some of the places that they abused, or even a city government that's been involved in organized stalking, what they'll do is pick up the campaign in reference to how many people they use. And what do I mean by that? Well, if a target gets up one day and they either do this as a result of routinely, periodically doing it, or remote neural monitoring, or both, what they'll do is through deduction, based on both of those statements, they'll put a significant amount of people along that target's path, and they play a guessing game. They think to themselves, well, we're not sure if she's going to stop off at this particular place that she has stopped off at numerous times to sit back and have a cigarette along her route. But just in case she does, what we're going to do is we're going to put enough people there to where if she does sit down, once she sits down, we'll bring by the woman who has bothered her before, and we'll get her to walk by her and say something just low enough for her to hear, okay, but possibly not low enough, or possibly low enough to where the tape recorder that the target wears constantly, this one, will have a hard time picking up because the statement is said just low enough. Or they might even also use what is known as the neurophone and project a statement towards the target in her voice. This is literally the lengths and scopes that these individuals use. And if you don't, there's another tactic that they can also literally transmit harassing dialogue in any voice print, which is known as V2SK, voice to skull. And I'm going to show you something right now. If you don't believe what I'm saying, voice to skull is mentioned in the remote neural monitoring file by Organized Stalking 3. But take a look at this. It's on one of my, it says Skull Candy, and it's on one of my carry-alls that I carry. I bought that from Target. And what Skull Candy is, they're not involved in organized stalking, at least I don't think they are. It's a company. And what Skull Candy is, it's a brand of headphones, and they're very expensive. Well, I mean, you can find ones that are not as expensive as, you know, the better ones, but the point I'm trying to make is that Skull Candy headphones are the kind of headphones that you can plug into any iPhone, MP3 player. You get the meaning of what I'm saying, radio. And as a result of them being plugged into a device where music is played or a news broadcast, whatever, the headset, literally the actual speaker that's in the headset, bypasses the ear canal and the skull and goes straight into the person's audio cortex. Well, that is literally how voice to skull works. That's why they call the microwave auditory effect voice to skull. Okay, now this is what we have to understand is that there's technology, and the audio spotlight is capable of the same exact thing. If the audio spotlight itself is pointed in this direct direction that the target's at, okay? And so the point I'm trying to make is that, and since most targets, when they first become a target of this crime, do not know what's happening to them as organized gang stalking, see, with my case, I didn't even bother really looking up stalking on the internet because I believed it was people that I used to hang out with that were stalking me. I looked up stalking laws, but I wasn't looking them up every day because I already knew I was being stalked, but I just figured it was by people friends of people that I knew. So I looked up stalking laws a couple times and then just never looked it up again. I didn't find out about gang stalking until 7 years after I was into the campaign, and that was only because they started associating a particular employment description with the stalking. And so I went and typed in that employment description and discovered that gang stalking came up. But anyways, getting back to Voice to Skull, so this is what they'll literally do, is bring that literal same person, that woman that has bothered me before, and she'll walk by me and in a low voice say something to me that's extremely provocative in order to provoke me to get up and say something to her. Because what they do is, these people are smart. They figured out human psychology like you would not believe, because a lot of their expeditions are based on human psychology. A lot of targets are calling what's happening to them as psychological operations, psychops. And what they do, and what I mean by that is that, in part, is that what they do is that they figure that if a target's walking, because most of them are, because they stage vehicle accidents, so a target don't have a car. When a target is walking from one long distance to another, and they take a break in between that distance of where they're actually going to, they know that by the time a target sits down, that they're ready to deflate mentally for a moment. And then that's when they'll bring somebody right by. As soon as that target sits down and attempts to relax for a second, they'll come by, okay? And engage in a provocative, a direct conversation tactic, or a physical gesture, or a threatening incident. And this is all done to try and get a target at a moment where a target has already been subjected to even direct conversation tactics and physical gestures, even along the route that the target was taking before the person sat down. And this is all done to make a target feel that they can never relax, and any accumulated stress that is felt from one place to another is never exhaled, okay, before they start something. So basically what I'm trying to say is, they always try to get you when your mind and your body wants to adjust to relaxing for a second, okay, when it feels the need to or wants to, and that's when they'll come by. So if they know that a target usually has, well, put it this way, if they know that a target has periodically sat down in a specific location to take a cigarette break, or sit down and take a water break, or whatever, along a regular route, what they'll do is station her not only there to provoke the target, but they'll also station other people close by that are in chairs as well, because this location I'm talking about has chairs where you can sit down and eat, and benches that are close by as well. So what they'll do is station another person that's sitting there in a group, like with 2 or 3 people, and that one of the persons out of those 3 people will have a little shopping bag sitting right next to them. And right before they bring the other person that's going to come in and harass the person, okay, when that person that's sitting down with the other 2 that's got the shopping bag sees her come on the scene, she reaches down into her shopping bag, and guess what she does? She turns on a tape recorder. And why is that? Because it's nothing but a staged incident. The woman walks up to her and provokes her in a low tone of voice, or Voice to Skull is projected at her in that person's voice for the target to hear it. And if the target gets provoked and gets up and says, "Leave me alone, I appreciate it if you stop bothering me," they might even say, "Stop bothering me, you freaked out skank," the person that's sitting down next to where the target sat down, because sometimes they only leave a certain amount of available tables left, and this is it's called crafted expeditions. And if you don't believe what I'm saying in reference to how they're literally involved in seating arrangements, I suggest you go to Google and type in organized stalking or gang stalking and crafted seating arrangements, and thoroughly scrutinize that description, and you'll see that exactly what I'm saying is the literal 100% literal truth in reference to their methods and tactics. And so what they'll do is basically try and make sure that a target, it's like musical chairs, where basically they leave just amount enough of seats that are available for a target to sit in, because they're in the surrounding seats, okay? And then they bring the woman along to provoke the target, and then the woman that is sitting like in the chairs and the seats and the table next to her, as a result of 1 or 2 tables only being left open for her to sit at, she turns on a tape recorder and will tape the target's response to the provocation. And that can later be streamlined into a separate meeting and a totally separate result of another incident that they bring about towards a target, where they might have a target arrested or petitioned into a hospital. Then they'll bring the target into a meeting in a room where either video or at least audio taping is done. And what they'll do is design specific questions towards a target, and then play back the response that was taped on a previous date in a totally separate previous type of incident and provocation. in order to make it look like the target's response to the later question, that it's in a totally separate environment that has nothing to do with the woman that provoked her at all. They want to streamline the response into a different situation to make it look like the person that's going to point the finger and accuse the target of being either crazy, mentally ill, a threat to themselves or others. And I'm talking about either a doctor or a police officer. And this is the literal schemes that they go to because they want to make it. You got to remember, targets are picked for a reason. They're picked in order to be able to literally. What this is organized crime in the system, and they target people on disabilities. And what they want to do is be able to take over their monthly paychecks to exploit their Medicare in a syndicated run group home out of hundreds of thousands of dollars over time, even within a year, okay, and to exploit the target sexually. So we're talking about huge dollar amounts. So do you really honestly think that they're not going to get all this cost-effective harassment expedited towards a target when the payoff is so big? I suggest you think again. When you really look at the end of the day, the amount of money that can be bilked out of Medicare just from one target who's trapped in expeditions in the syndicated run group home. It's organized crime in the system, and this is literally how they operate. Literally. And if you don't believe what I'm saying, I suggest strongly that you go to YouTube and type in, well, for one, a gang stalking tech, everything you need to know. That's a manifesto. I'm a manager of organized stalking crews. And type in gang stalking or organized stalking, tape conversations of targets. Yeah, like on their cell phones. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and instead of transferring what's on this audio file right now, on this particular video file, I'm going to transfer it in a separate video file. And I'm going to do it, that's now, this one particular incident is not on this actual audio file. It's going to be on a separate one. But that incident that I was referring to you is caught on a digital audio file as well in reference to a possible person taping it. Now, go into the comments feature of this YouTube video for the actual audio file that I'm going to be transferring over into a video file that I was initially talking about at the beginning of this video. My name is Leslie Williams. This is a tidbit file in reference to how they work. I strongly suggest you listen to this video file at least twice so you can make sure that you get all the particulars in reference to the descriptions of what I've described so that you can anchor them in your mind in reference to how they work and in reference to their methods. Because I expose these crimes because they're doing it to the elderly, the disabled, veterans included. They're into human trafficking, sexual servitude rings, prostitution rings, land co-opting, property co-opting, mortgage co-opting, trust fund liquidation, identity theft. And we're going to see if I hear my God. Now, the reason why I said that is because they walk by this location and will repeat certain words, phrases, or comments. They've done it at least 30 times, okay? Even after I predicted it. And oh my God is one of the things that it's called sensitization tactics. They sensitize targets to specific words, phrases, or comments. And then they'll get along a target's path and repeat them. That in turn makes them feel stalked and harassed as a result. Alright, so look in the comments feature of this YouTube video. My name is Leslie Williams. I make these, and I'm going to tell you something right now today. The San Diego police are directly involved in this crime towards me. Okay, physically, literally, and I'm not just talking about protecting it or allowing it. I'm talking about they're literally and directly involved in it. Okay, by using their employment descriptions to aid and abet in a cooperating participation whenever organized gang stalking street theater is brought about towards me. Okay, including one here, eventually here at this particular periodic, temporarily hiking area on any location along any of my routes where they stage incidences towards me to produce the result. It's called framing the situation to frame the results. Okay, and whenever they stage a big enough incident, whether it be an assault, a provocation, an incident, an accusation, and then they basically, and they'll stage the witnesses too, literally, using anybody in the community, including the business community. And then the police come in and play their role in the street theater, that's what it's called, to either arrest the target, file a false police report, or petition the target into the hospital. And they will even use their multi-jurisdictional conferencing with California Highway Patrol members and Sheriff Department members. I suggest strongly that you take a look at the manifesto. Okay, I gotta go. Today's date is July 12th, it's either the 12th or 13th. It's Thursday, 2012, and I'm in San Diego, California. Make sure you look in the comments feature of this YouTube video.